Yo, what up, what up, what up, what up? Welcome to another episode of a Dressing Room Live. I think I missed last week and I apologize for that. We were out and there's no excuse. I didn't upload. And that's actually one of the things that I wanted to talk about this session, this conversation, and this element of sticking to your script in the dressing room. And that is in this new year not being a new you, right? So over the last 2 or 3 days, as we move beyond Christmas or we are lining up with Christmas, right after that, we always have that conversation about New Year's. And I am frankly sick and tired of seeing people say uh, all the things that they're leaving in the previous year. So I've had friends and people that I care about, got much love for, will say, "Oh, I'm leaving all this baggage in 2022 when it was 2021." Brought the same baggage, and we're going to talk about why this is very important in a few moments. But I wanted to make sure that you have an understanding of the context of what it means to be a better you instead of a new you. So you'll hear things like that. You'll hear things, oh, it's going to be so much better in 2023. First and foremost, why are y'all waiting for a year? When you could just say it's going to be better December 24th, 2022. It could be, it's going to be better December 26th, 2022. Instead of you waiting for a new year, because cognitively or psychologically, what you're doing is you're projecting something on newness, on the novelty of newness, and it's actually costing you because once that newness wears off, you fall back into your same habits. So instead of doing that, you could do what Jordan Peterson talks about and just being 1% better than you were the previous day. And if you do that every day for a year, you're 365% better than you were when you started, right? And when you started that space. And that is almost mind blowing. And that's one of the things that I'm actually focused on for myself in the new year, and not to be hypocritical, in the new day. Like even today, I've been focused on how can I be 1% better. Part of that is me being on here and being much more consistent with sharing my thoughts and my perspectives on a much more impromptu basis. So you have that. Well, I'll just wait until next year. I'll wait until I have the the energy of the new year to carry me on. And the last part is that we're not consistent, and we talked about that last in our last sticking to our script. The consistency in life and style is so important for you to show up as the best version of yourself because that's when you are coaching, you're educating, you're developing other people on how they're going to engage with you. And a lot of times we're not putting any intention on the consistency that we're showing on. We're not putting any consistency on our presentation and the gifts that we actually have to give because it's an atrophied muscle. It's a muscle that we haven't really put in enough work on to really sustain our abilities to grow and to develop. So, the first thing that we want to do in order to traverse that and to transform that is to start thinking of ourselves as better versions of ourselves. One of the things that I've always said is the goal for me is to maximize who I am. I don't want to be Jay-Z. I don't want to be Steve Jobs. I don't want to be Mark Zuckerberg. I want to be the best version of Michael Andrew that I can be. Because if I can be that, then the limits or the opportunities for me are limitless. I could, just knowing my creative abilities, could leverage so many things to put me in so many different spaces. And it's been interesting, like over the last couple of months, I've been watching a lot of very, very profitable and successful YouTubers. One of them being Mr. Beast and Marquise. Marquise's last name I can't remember, but he does all the tech reviews. And one of the things that they talked about was their ability to be consistent and to evolve and get better. So Mr. Beast was talking initially in one interview about how he and his friends who are now collectively with him, because it could have been any one of them from what he says and how he sounds, and how consistent they were on improvement. Not even necessarily self improvement, just the improvement of what they were focused on. So for them, they were focused on YouTube. And so they said they would spend 12 to 14 hours, I'm sure when they weren't in school, going over the algorithm, studying how thumbnails need to look, studying how videos needed to be processed and transitions and music and all these other different types of things. And after about 5 to 7 years, I believe he said, they took off. It just started blowing up. And it was when he had the opportunity to to give a guy essentially, or to pass out $5,000 to $10,000 when he was in North Carolina, that he was like, hey, if you just give me $10,000, I'm gonna give it to this homeless person. I swear it's gonna work. Now, some people would have said that was luck, that was a good fortune, or good a luck of that person's process. For me, as I watched Mr. Beast's process, I said, no, this was actually a very strategic good fortune type of event. He had studied so long, he had improved upon the awareness of what he wanted to convey through clarity so long that it then transported or catapulted his opportunity into the stratosphere because he had been preparing it for so long. And you have the same opportunity in life and style. So many times when I'm thinking about guys who are trying to cultivate their awareness or cultivate who they are, they want to be at the maximum at the very beginning. It's like trying to win the lottery, but you have no money management skills, or you've never really had to manage money in any significant way. You went from being an 18-year-old kid who lived with his parents to being a multimillionaire. This has happened for NBA players, NFL players, and pro sports players, or to a kid who wins the lottery. Then you're blowing money fast. You're BMFing it, right? You're putting yourself in a space where you don't really understand what is coming in and then what is going out. You may not understand taxes. You may not understand all these things. And so a lot of times we want success when we're not adequately prepared for it, when we're not mature enough to really accept or to adjust for what is going to become a part of that. And if you're not in that ready state, if you're not in that position of understanding or understanding how you want to really show up, then you put yourself in a negative position. And so a lot of times I always remind guys that a dressing room is the perfect place for you to be, especially coming into your new day and your new year, because nobody's really expecting you to be on point. Nobody's expecting you to be polished at this point. Nobody's paying attention except for you. And you can pay intention to the attention that you want to garner. This is an opportunity for you to really figure out the things that you aspire for, the things that you can acquire, and the things that you already have in your arsenal. If you already have a few great basic pieces that you've made an investment for, and you have been diligent about caring for, you've been diligent about how you talk non-verbally with your items and with your ensembles to the world around you, well, now you can then begin to acquire something new with that. Instead of you going to get a new wardrobe, I can't tell you how many guys who may have the means but don't have the awareness. You walk into their closet and they have like plethoras and plethoras of clothes that they proudly project how many items they have that still have tags on. And I'm like, so then you're missing the entire purpose of what clothing is supposed to be. Clothing is meant to be worn. Clothing is meant to be utilized. Clothing is meant to be uh, to be a conveyance or communication of who you are and how you want to show up. So when they're sitting here with tags on, it's no different than you sitting on your potential. It's no different than you sitting on or allowing something to sit on the shelf that actually will move you, that will engage you, that will provoke you to move, right? And so if that is not utilized, then what it becomes is clutter. When that clutter comes in, then it creates confusion or toxicity, and it begins to become putrid. It begins to decay, and you're doing all these things because you're questioning whether or not this is actually a true representation of myself, because I haven't been consistent in how I'm showing up, right? I haven't been progressing into what it is that I want. But if I am doing that, if I am continuing to progress and be a better person than I was yesterday, I'm not in competition with anybody else but myself. I only want to get 30 seconds better. I only want to get one look better. I only want to get one chapter or one page better than I was before. Well, now I have the opportunity to show up as an even more powerful presence when I am stepping into a given scenario or scene, or when I'm looking to approach that young lady or approach that job that I want, when I'm looking to be the king, the leader, when I'm looking to be the warrior, the person who knows how to strategize through conflict and challenge, the lover who understands how to connect with people around me, or the magician, the person who can transform not only my life but the life around me simply by how I show up. This is where you have that opportunity to do so. So when you are moving through that space, if you are saying, let me aspire to the top tier of whatever it is that I seek to acquire, and appreciate what I have right now in front of me, well, now I'm moving in a space of gratitude in what I have, in my abilities, and also in my attire. I now have the opportunity to say, this is what I am looking to acquire this next year. So I now have a plan in motion, or next steps that will allow me to elevate and progress on my presentation. And then lastly, I have something that I can ultimately aspire to. And maybe you're at that space now where you have the acquisitions and you're now looking at aspirations. And those aspirations are not going to necessarily be the easiestly or the easiest to attain. And if they aren't, that's even better, because now you have something that is going to drive you, something that's going to motivate you in order to elevate into that space. Right. So the second thing that we have to pay attention to, not first, the second thing that we want to pay attention to is to understand what is going to not only make us better, well, before that, where we are, and then what we want to be in order to be better. So this year, I found for myself that clarity was the most important thing. I've been being pulled every which way when the universe, God consciousness, or the ancestors, whoever it may be, has been whispering in my ear, you need to speak, you need to develop, you need to cultivate, you need to be a guide, you need to be a teammate for these gentlemen who are seeking to elevate themselves in their life as well as their style, because the presentation is a thing that changes their viewpoint. Men are attracted to what they see, and they forget that the first thing that they got to look at is themselves. So I want men to feel attractive. I want men to feel empowered. I want men to feel attractive. I want men to feel appealing in their different situations, so that they're showing up as the best version of themselves, whether they are looking to be players in Men About Town, or they're looking to find true connection and settle up, not settle down, but to settle, find themselves in a great space with a partner, or a teammate that they can continue to grow with. And so for me to have that understanding created clarity. And then that clarity allowed me to figure out what my next steps are. Gary Vee says, if you can figure out what you want, right, and get clear about that, then all you got to do is reverse engineer what you want in order to put that into play. And then you can start doing what Tim Ferriss says, which is learning to say no to things that actually may be good opportunities, good investments, or good spaces for you to be in. If they don't align with where you are and where you're trying to go to, that aspirational space in life, then you can begin to clearly say, no, that's not for me, respectfully. And when you start doing that, what you discover as a man is that you start to garner more respect. You start to garner more admiration. You start to garner more appreciation, because people are like, oh, this man's time is valuable. I have a mentor, a traveling mentor, I always say, because he kind of comes in and out of my life when I need to hear or see from him most. And one of the things that he said was, don't ever let somebody disrespect your time or your reputation. And I found that that was so powerful, because time is the one and only thing that truly we can't get back. Right? Once time is gone, you're it's gone. And I heard something super interesting the other day that said that we're all billionaires, that we're all millionaires, that we have a certain specified amount of minutes. And if you guys know, put it in the comments. I don't remember the amount of seconds, I'm sorry, in a day that makes us millionaires, because there are people who did not make it to today. There was somebody, or there was millions of people who did not survive past Christmas. This was their last Christmas that they experienced. And so we have a wonderful gift of a million seconds, I think, in the day, that will get us to the next day, God willing or universal willing, whatever, right? And so, in that space, if we can get clear about what it is that we want with the intention of getting better every day, well, now all this other stuff starts to get out of the way, and we start focusing on the things that are going to bring us the most joy, the most position, the most profit, and the presentation, the gifts that are going to allow us to give back in that space. And so that clarity now allows us to move with much more confidence. It's like, for fellas, if you see a beautiful girl, right? And she is super thick. I'm talking about curves. I'm talking about Poom Pat Pow. Do y'all remember Poom Pat Pow? Poom Pat Pow, right? And she's showing up, and you like, dang, short skirt, boobies is popping out, super made up face, long hair weave, and 6-inch heels with the clear, bottom on, on the shoes. And you're just like, I'll deal with anybody. Like, oh, she fine, so I'm gonna get at her. That's one thing. But if you're a guy who says, nah, like, I love a sophisticated woman who has a certain level of conservatism and who knows how to methodically move without a crowd, she probably doesn't look like that young lady. So I'm gonna move now, and I'm gonna appreciate her. Like, oh yeah, that's a good look. She's beautiful, just not for me. She's cool, just not for me. She's not even worth my conversation because I'm clear on what it is that I want to acquire that evening or for that lifetime. So if there are going to be some guys who says, I want to acquire her for that lifetime, listen, we grown, you're going to do what you're going to do. So you can do what adults do. If that's not where you are, though, and for me, the type of guys that I'm looking to engage with are more like Hitch was, right? I want the guys who are looking for the connection. Then they're going to say, I have to begin to say no. I have to set a standard and be clear on what my standards are when I'm engaging with the opposite sex, because I want to make sure that I'm clear on what my intention is and what I'm paying attention to. So that girl who's doing all that is trying to get attention. The other girl who knows how to be sophisticated, conservative, and clear about how she's going to show up is going to demand attention because she's been moving with intention. And that also will allow us to stand on our square when it comes to our personal style. I don't need to go buy whatever brand is hot or trending at the time that has a logo or a namesake on on my chest that may not even reflect my ideals or my intentions to make me feel worthy. My girl asked me the other day, she was like, so where do you shop to get your clothes? And I was like, as I thought about it, I was like, I don't shop to get clothes. I may hop on some secondary sites to get a retail item, but you're not gonna know what it is unless you absolutely been following, that brand since its inception. I'm gonna have some stuff that somebody be like, man, did you have that made? Because they know that for the most part, I have stuff custom made. And if we're being honest, you get more bang for your buck. If you go have something custom made, generally it's going to be about the same price that it would be for a brand that probably did not care enough to make sure that it's a qualitative item, right? So you're going to have something that is not truly reflective of you. It's going to have 80% or 90% of what you wanted or 95% of what you wanted, but it's not going to be a true reflection of you. But when you have it customized, now you have the opportunity to be clear about what it is that you want, to be clear about how you want to show up, to be clear about the things that you need to pay attention to. And that may require a little bit more time. It may require a little bit more attention to detail and intention to detail. And I guarantee you, when you show up, everybody will be like, ooh, where you get that from? Who makes that? This is the wonderful designer named Michael Andrew. So he got your name too? Man, yeah. And they won't be able to replicate that even if they want to, because they don't have the same anatomy as you. They don't have the same body type as you. They don't have the same color scheme, or maybe they don't have the same access financially and or resourcefully to the spaces that you have. So now you can show up as the best version of yourself, because not because you spent the crazy amounts of money, but because you were now clear about how you wanted to show up and about what you wanted to say. And that is only going to make you better each year. I don't care if you could only do that once a year. If you're doing that and you're wearing that and you're utilizing that and you're utilizing your other gifts that you have, right? The other elements that make you you and make you unique and that provide that presence that's going to set you apart from everybody else. Well, now you're showing up in style, as I've told you in my videos. And that's the ultimate goal, to tell your story with you without you having to say a word. And then you move into that last space of really understanding what it's going to take. So you have a process for your presentation. You have a process for getting better. And you're not always going to hit that process. This morning, I didn't work out, and I've been committed to working out every day. So guess what I got to do? At some point this afternoon, this evening, I got to go work out because it's a commitment that I made to myself. Now, some of you guys are a huge fan of Kobe Bryant. I was not. God bless the dead when he was living. I never really appreciated, let me rephrase, I never really appreciated Kobe when he was alive, but as he has transitioned, I've started to listen to some of his interviews, and I have a deeper appreciation for the man that he was and the type of obsessiveness that he had for his success. And one of the things that he said was, I made a contract with myself that this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it, and I'm not deviating from it. I don't care how tired I am. I don't care what distractions may come into play. I don't care what is going to try to keep me from this. This is the contract that I made with myself. This is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to get to it. And think about how powerful that is when you have the aspiration, right? You have your acquisitions and what you already have. You have your aspirations, and now we're moving into clarity. And now you've made a contract with yourself of how you're going to get there. You started to tailor these elements, to tailor these themes, to tailor these philosophies in order to get you to where you want to be. And I don't know about you, but us as grown men, I know that every year we take a look back and sometimes we have regrets, unless you have just been maximizing your life. And if you are, shout outs to you. I love to interview you and see what's been working for you and how you got there. For most of us, though, we have this space like, dang, man, I could have gone a little bit harder. I could have woke up a little bit earlier. I could have read one more book. I could have not gone to one more party and worked on a business instead. I could have worked to learn a new trait or a new skill this past year, right? I could have taken advantage of these opportunities that were in front of me. And I would advise, I would request, I would challenge you to make that contract with yourself like Kobe did. Today I'm writing out a contract with myself and saying, these are the things that I want to achieve. This is how I want to get there, and this is the contract that I've made. And here's the thing that's interesting about a contract. One, if it's not enforceable, of course, it's just a piece of paper. So I have to then share that with somebody. I'm sharing it with one of my accountability partners to hold me true to that because he's looking to do something very, very similar. But two, what will often happen is when you make that contract, now it's on paper, now it's visual. And I would advise you to write it out. Don't type it out on your computer. Write it out, because once pen hits paper, there's a different type of connection from our brain waves to our actual motor functions that makes that much more connected. And start to figure out what it is that you really desire, that you really crave out of not only this year, but every day that you're stepping out and you're seeking to improve, you're seeking to be better. And be hard on yourself without being damaging to yourself. If any of you guys play sports, then you remember your coach used to just yell at you all the time. It felt like he was always on you. And if you were relatively decent, I'm not even necessarily saying a decent athlete, if you're a decent human being at that young age, then he would pull you to the side and say, listen, son, be afraid when I'm no longer yelling at you. And I remember I asked the coach, I was like, listen, coach, what does that mean? It wasn't the same coach who said it. And he was like, Mike, what do you think it means? I said that he doesn't care anymore. He said, exactly. He's lost the ability to see potential in you. He's lost the ability to see the effort in you. He's lost the ability to see who you can be because you've given up. And the same thing is true in life. When you stop aspiring to be better, when you stop aspiring to elevate, when you stop aspiring to be clear about how you want to show up, well, then essentially you've given up on life. You've given up on that opportunity to be a millionaire the next day. without those millions of seconds that have been gifted to you for another 24 hours, right? So the same thing is always going to be true in life as well as in style. When you've given up, we can see it. I've had numerous guys who be like, "Man, I don't care about how I look," until it comes to trying to go talk to a young lady. When I'm talking to them about, pursuing, interacting with a young lady, and they're like, "Man, I don't look good." And you'll hear dating coaches and gurus say, "Well, that shouldn't matter, and you should just approach her anyway." As I said, there's a conflict from their conscious when they don't find themselves attractive, when they don't see themselves as somebody who is worth getting to know, let alone going on a date with or interacting with. And here's a great thing: when you've been properly invested in yourself, when you've properly created a capsule of your communication, well, then what ends up happening is you don't have to worry about getting ready. You always are ready. You're always put together enough to encounter and engage in any situation. And here's an interesting thing that will come with that: I don't care how much money you got. I don't care whether you got a job or you just lost your job or you're looking for a job. This will allow you the opportunity to not only put yourself in a position for somebody to literally see you, but also to see the person that you claim to be non-verbally. It'll also give you the opportunity to be honest and clear about where you are and where you're going, so that the right person, so that the right co-characters in your story begin to show up. When you're dealing with a young lady and it's the right young lady, she doesn't really care about your money, despite all that BS that we've been seeing out on social media and all these interviews from these fast chicks who want to be whoppy girls and bad bees and all that other stuff. That's cool. Shout outs to y'all. But if you're looking for a connection, you're not looking for that chick anyway. That's fun. That's not fundamental. That's not going to be a finality for you. So if that's the case, and you're looking for partnership, you're looking for connectivity, you're looking for a co-character in this love story that you want to tell, you're not worried about that anyway. And you'd be surprised how many young ladies are not looking for the potential, they're looking for the presence that a man is going to provide. And if a man is going to be present to who he is not only looking at what he has, he's looking at what he can acquire and what he aspires to be. And he's very clear about that. Well, now she's going to submit to his vision. She's going to submit to his projection because she can clearly see how he's showing up. He has been very intentional about what he wants to represent and symbolize. So he may not have the best suit on. He may not have the best dress shirt on. He may not have any of these things on, but he's shown up in a manner that says, listen, I'm about something. And he may just have his button-down collar shirt on, sleeves rolled up, with a great pair of jeans and a great pair of shoes, nondescript. They don't have to have a label on them because he's not labeled or going to be beholden to anybody else's program or position, and to get caught up like Gucci, like Balenciaga, now in all the stuff that they're doing. And you're seeing all these people burning their shoes and stuff like that they bought probably 6 months ago that they might not have had the money for, and now they got to wear it because they can't afford to just be burning up clothes like that. I know I can't. So instead, they got smart and said, no, I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to find items that are going to be reflected as the best version of me without having to be scripted, without having to be branded in a way that are not going to reflect who I am in a given situation or scenario. So now I'm showing up as a man of intention. I'm showing up as a man who wants to be engaged with and respected and talked to in a certain type of way. And I've now become discriminatory not only with my dress, but in my distinction and who I'm going to interact with. And if I'm able to do that, then as I've told you before, you're always going to show up better than you did before. You're always going to show up in style without having to say a word. So I would challenge you, first and foremost, don't worry about being new. New is going to disrupt, if not destroy, everything else that was prior to you. And I would hate for that to happen. I would hate for every progressive step that you made, for every evolution that you made on the day, or the challenges and the spaces that you found yourself moving into last year, to be dismissed or destroyed because you wanted to be something new and to start all over. I would rather that you continue to evolve, that you continue to transform, even if it's slowly, even if it's quietly, even if it's non-scriptly, so that when 2024 comes, you're that much better. And if you can just improve 1% a day, if you can join me on this journey as I'm seeking to improve 1% a day financially and mentally, that's it, financially and mentally. And you choose your 1 to 2 things that you're going to get very clear on and what you're seeking to acquire and what you aspire to have, then I guarantee you that you're going to show up not only in style but in life better than you have any other year before because you're getting better. So once you try this on, see how it fits you, and know that every Monday now at noon, I know I was late today, I apologize. We will be having these conversations, and make sure that you continue to check me out on YouTube at The Dressing Room. Right now, it's going to change to a dressing room. I'll help you find your direction, dress, and desires so that you can show up in life as well as in style every Monday live at noon Eastern Standard Time, and then you'll be getting one video a week from there. If you're also looking to develop your self awareness and style and to get more money, more power, and more sex with the right people and in the right situations simply by showing up in style without having to say a word, then check me out, send me a DM, or you can email me at stylearchitects@gmail.com. That's stylearchitects@gmail.com, which will soon be changing to another one soon. And we will be doing group coaching for a process that will ensure that you are showing up as the best version of yourself. Outside of that, be great today. It's a Monday. You know what I'm saying? It's the opportunity for you to show up as the best version of yourself, and I want you to. And I want you to be great. But then again, you know you already are. You knew that, right? You knew that. So now all you got to do is show up and show out in style. And remember that dress is nothing more than the expression of a man's state of mind. So you, yes, you should always dress to address. I will see you next Monday. Peace.